In this video, we're going to discuss the brand new Vegress Fax 2.0, some of the new features and some of the old features. First off, let's, depending on how many faxes that you want to create, are you going to be receiving or sending, the Vegress Fax can actually live on your network as a server, but it's also going to need to be able to connect to an outside PRI, because we're going to want to do faxes to the desktop. So in either one of these configs, you can see that you can either have a PRI dedicated directly to your Vegress Fax, and then of course one directly to your PBX, or in this instance you just have one TDM PRI coming into, for instance, an AdTran or AdLess 550 box, and then it would sniff the traffic and be able to say, oh, that's a fax, I'm going to send it to the Vegress. Or if it's not a fax, it'll just pass it on to the PBX. So that's where it lives on the network. First, since we're talking faxes, let's create a test fax real quick. I'm just going to open up Word 2010. So it does do the new DocX and XLS faxes. I love to send faxes with Vegress Fax. There we go. All right, so we're just going to save that now. And we're going to save it as docx test fax, and we'll just let it sit down. Now, since everything is done through a GUI on the browser, let's just open that browser up. Let's log out so you get the whole feel here. So I'm going to log in as me. I am an administrator on the system. So the first thing that Vegress sees is it's going to assume that you want to send a fax, but in this case, we're going to go over to System Settings here because I want you to get an overview of how the backend works. Now these two tabs here will not be visible by your users on the system. Only those that have been chosen as admins on the system. For instance, here Bruce Wayne would not be able to see the system status or the system settings, but everybody else would. So, but as you get your Vegress Fax, the first thing that happens is you go to your Advanced tab, and you can see the active settings. Now, a lot of these settings will actually be visible on the front of the box as well, but here you can actually see what it is. Most of you might just put a static IP address in here. In this case, we've just set it as DHCP. You can set your time zone settings, area code. If you have a list of a lot of fax users already, you can import from a CSV file. And then if you want to add additional virtual modems, this is where you would be adding it. And then you can also default the settings back to how we originally had them created. And then of course shut down and reboot the box as well. So those are the advanced settings. But on the day-to-day usage or the month-to-month usage, this is where you're going to go as an administrator. System settings, you're going to see all your users. Let's say Bruce Wayne, you know what? He's just not working out. You know, he flies around a lot. You know, he's never where you want him to be. So we're just going to delete him from the system. So I'm going to click delete, and then I'm going to choose apply. Now you'll see here Batman Batcave has been deleted. So he's gone from the system. So, but we do need to add a new user. So let's just go and add a user. User added. You'll see that it automatically puts John Doe into the system. So we're going to call him Frankenstein here. And Frank is at boriskarloff.com. Now, he also has a DID number, and from our list of tables, we know that his DID number is 6987, so that he can receive calls. Now, remember, the Vegress is going to be looking for those digits, or that AdTran box is going to be looking for those digits. And once we get those digits, now we know that any fax coming in with the digit 6987, that would be a fax that would go to Frankenstein. We click apply, and we'll see that the user has now been updated. And then it'll go away once it's all done. The administrator can also create the company logo, put it here, and this company logo is what's going to be visible on the cover sheet. You'll see that in a second. And this information also will show up static on the cover sheet. Now the system status, that just tells me how many virtual ports I have in the system. In this system, I've got 4 virtual ports, which means I can receive or send a total of 4 faxes. I can be receiving 2 and sending 2. I can receive 3 and send 1. So it's I've got 4 ports. If you need more than that, then you just contact your dealer and order more. You can also see that on our system here we've got 2 PRIs coming into the Vegress. One, it's configured, well, both are configured ESF B8ZS, and you see that one is active and the other one says red. That tells me that I don't have a PRI plugged in. It's not active. So, and it's pretty easy to tell me that that's either I have to call my my dealer or I have to call my service provider because I'm not framing up there. But real simple stuff. And now as a user, since we created, who do we create? We created Frankenstein, right? So and he was at Boris at Karloff. So let's go ahead and log out, and we're going to log back in as Frankenstein here. Password is the default password. Now Frank, once he logs in, the first thing he sees that is, hey Frank, you need to select a cover sheet template before you can send a fax. So let's go do that in user settings. I'm going to go down here to cover sheet. I've got a basic, an elegant, or a business style. So elegant is the one I like to use. I'm going to click apply. You'll see your user settings have been updated. Now if I wanted to change my password, I can change it here. I can also change my outgoing fax. Now if I choose main here, this is what the administrator says is the main fax number, and that's going to show up on the cover sheet. Or if I click this, I can put my own personal DID if I want somebody to whatever that number was. And this is what's going to show up on the cover sheet now. Click apply. And I also can choose either a PDF or a TIF, a TIFF image or a PDF document. Most people choose PDF, easy to move around the web. So now all my settings are set. And now I want to go send a fax. So I'm going to dial, let's send it to a number that we know. Now I can also choose to send just plain text fax here if I just want to type some information real quick, or I can choose an attachment. Remember that thing we created in the very beginning? Let's go browse for it. We know we kept it, docx text fax, there it is. And one interesting thing is if I wanted to create additional documents, I could add a PDF, a TIFF, or an XLS, so, and I can have a mix and match of all different types of documents here, or files. Then I want to send it to Bruce Wayne. He's at, I think he's Wayne Industries, isn't he? From Frankenstein, go to bed and get your cake. So now at this point I can preview or I can send it. So if I just click send, it'll just go ahead and send the fax. But in this case I want to preview it. So what it does is it creates that, that Word doc. There's the Word doc. And it creates the cover page. There's the logo and there's the information. You can see here is the Frankenstein fax number. So at this point I can just send it or I can discard it. So we'll go ahead and send it, and you'll see it says fax sent successfully. Now at this point, Frank is done. So all he has to do, if he wants to, he can check on his send queue, and as the system goes in and creates that sent, it'll actually go in and tell him that he's got a system queued up and ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and log out and log back in as me here. Oops. We can go to the system settings. I'm sorry, to the status, and you can actually see that I'm sending a fax from Boris. So, and he's going out on port 2, and I sent it to a fax on this system. I actually had sent it to 3157 Dan here. So as we go back and we look at the system status, we can see that we're sending out on port 2 and we're receiving on port 1. So 2 of our ports are active. We still have 2 available to receive faxes. Now, Frankenstein, if he goes and looks at his send queue, he would be able to see processing that he's got a 2-page fax that's going out. So real simple stuff. The received, I can, since I'm logged in as me as the admin right now, I can actually show my faxes only, or I can show everybody on the system. So that's what I'm looking at there. And then these are my sents. So what have I sent? You can see what's successful on the system. Now, received is kind of nice too, because for 30 days, we're going to keep all the faxes that were received right here on the fax server. Remember, after 30 days, they're going to purge from the system. But if I wanted to go in and see any of these faxes, I can just create it, open it up as a PDF, and see the faxes. So let's go back to our system status. We can see that we're finalizing that fax. We've actually sent it, and it's still finishing up on the receiving end. Now, once it's done, if we go open up our Outlook, our inbox, wherever we keep our email, we can see that there was a fax that was sent successfully. There's the fax. Oops. And Vegress Fax will also send me, as the sender, a nice little email saying that I had successfully sent the fax, how many pages, where it went, as much information as it could, and it gives it back to us in an email form. So we know that we sent it, we know that we got it, and we're also keeping a nice complete overview of all of our faxes in one spot every 30 days. So anyway, that's an overview of the Vegress Fax 2.0. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you need any additional information, please contact vegress.com on the internet or your local Vegress dealer. Thanks so much.